Hello, welcome. We're going to show you how to use KolAi's AI Designer quick tutorial. This is the home screen where you would upload a picture of your target garment. Aydin's going to be making a design for you. And right now he's showing that we have multi-language support. So you can choose whichever language you're more comfortable with. We're going to use English. So you're going to click AI Editor, choose a target garment that you want to extract the dry process from. And in the first step, you crop out the design area. So because it's an artificial intelligence, it's important to select the entire leg panel. Not a partial image, not just the whisker area, the entire leg panel, because the AI is looking for a leg panel in order to draw the design. And then on this screen, you can flip or rotate if needed. Click Next. Now we call this our pre-editor window. And this is for getting the design ready to feed to the AI. So one thing you can adjust here is the brightness and contrast. So if it was really, so the AI, it sees like a person. So if something's hard to see, it will be hard for the AI to see. So if it's really bright, if it's really intense, you might want to turn it down a little bit. Or if it's a really subtle design, you might want to boost it a little bit. Something else you can do in this window is clean any blemishes, or for example, this tape mark. The AI is going to draw what it sees. So if you don't want it to draw this tape mark, you can clean it up. And Aydin is using the healing brush tool. You could also use the clone stamp tool. These work very similar to the tools in Photoshop. So he just cleaned that tape mark with the healing brush. And there's another tape mark he's going to clean down at the hem. And this time he's going to use the clone stamp tool. It's a pretty similar process. And if you're familiar with Photoshop, then you're probably used to how this works. Also part of pre-editing is if you want to make any changes. And one thing you can do is if there's certain whiskers that you really want to enhance, you can do that here using the burn and dodge tools. So right now Aydin has the dodge tool, and he's just going to highlight some of the whiskers because they're not strong enough and he wants them to pop a little bit more. And he's not tracing it. He's not spending a lot of time, just not super precise. He's just hand tracing to make those whiskers pop a little bit more. And we found it can help to do this, just a little bit of tracing on some of the lighter whiskers to really get more of a 3D effect. Now he can also use the burn tool to make the shadows a little bit darker. So this is the burn tool. It works a similar way, but now it's just a little bit of tracing on the shadows in some areas to really get a differentiation on the whiskers and really get that 3D effect. And again, you don't have to do this, but we found just with a couple minutes of touch up using these dodge and burn tools, you will get a better result with the AI. Now, something else you can do here is you can actually add, if you wanted to add whiskers, we have we have a brush with some custom elements. There's whiskers and abrasion elements. So here Aydin just added a whisker. You can see you can change the shape, you can rotate it, you can change the size, and you can place it where you want it to go. And once it's placed, you can adjust the opacity to blend it into your garment, and you can see he added a whisker there. And he's just going to add, I think, a chevron here too. So the nice thing about this is you can do your edits to your target on the garment itself, looking at how it will look in indigo instead of working in the black and white space, in the gray space of a laser file. So some people prefer to work how the garment will look, and you can do that with this program. So he'll blend that. And once you're happy, you've made your edits, you've made cleaning, you've added whiskers if you want to, you've adjusted brightness, contrast, then you can just click Create Laser Design. And now this sends the image to our AI server, and the artificial intelligence is drawing the design. It takes about 7 to 10 seconds. And you'll see, once it's done, you'll see a preview of how it will look. So this is a preview screen. You can see some of the adjustments that Aydin made, and you can go back if you want to make more adjustments. And you can see the history panel. You could undo things, or you could make more adjustments if you want. And because it only takes about 7 seconds to create the AI, you can go back and forth as many times as you want on this preview screen until you're happy with the result that you get. So he's just undoing some of the changes that he did before. And he's going to redo the brightness and contrast to see if that will help get him a better result. So once he's happy, he'll click Create Laser Design. Again, it only takes about 7 seconds for the AI to process it and draw the laser design. And now if he's happy on this preview window, You can zoom in and look at the different design elements. You can click accept. And now we call this the post editor window. So the first thing is it automatically downloads a Photoshop file to save on your local computer. That's in case you lose connection and you need to have the file for later, or if you forget to download it. Now, you'll notice here, there's several layers that you get from the AI. The first is the target image itself for comparison to see how good the design is. And then there is a single base layer that has all the design elements. And then on top of that, there's an abrasion layer that's just the hand sand portion of the design. And then there's a layer that just has the whiskers. So the AI drew all of these layers individually. And then on top of everything, there's a texture layer that draws the slubs and the natural denim texture from the garment. And you can put as much or as little of that as you want into your design. Some customers like to have a lot of that denim texture and some not so much. So you can adjust how much you add there. And when you add all of these layers together, you get a really nice design that was made by the AI. So now that we're in the screen, the post editor, you can again make adjustments. So Aydin's doing some cleaning with the eraser tool. And this, again, it's similar to Photoshop. So you could work like you would making a normal laser design, but you have this wonderful base to start with that the AI made for you. So here Aydin is, again, we have these custom brushes. So he's adding some whiskers onto the design here. So you can work. So this is how a laser designer would normally work on this grayscale space. And you can do that here. But you can also work, as I mentioned, on the garment itself in the indigo space, because the AI will make the design for you. So however you feel most comfortable working, you're able to do that here. Another thing we have, so you'll notice some buttons on the left that do some automations. So this one is a grayscale adjustment. It just is a global adjustment to make the design darker or lighter. So for example, if you have an older machine or your laser power is low, you might need a darker design. But you can also make it a design more in the gray, like a lighter design. If you're using like an HDR with Genealogia or Fabro Fusion with VAV, those require designs more in the gray. So this just allows you to make that global adjustment depending on your machine and how you like to do your designs. And then when you're done, you can download as a Photoshop file to preserve all your layers. You can open Photoshop files in KolAi Designer. You can open them in Photoshop, however you prefer to work. And you can also download an image file that you can take directly to the laser machine. That could be a BMP, JPEG, PNG, all the major image formats. So it will work with any laser machine. You could also upload these images into 3D design software like Clo3D or Browseware and use them in that way. So you can see all the layers and you download the file. And you can see now he's downloading the layers one by one. So in case in your laser machine, maybe you'd like to make your adjustments to individual layers, like different intensity settings, and you can do that with these different layers. So if you could boost the whiskers here by making them darker, or in your laser machine, you could just increase the intensity of the whiskers if you need to by marking them in different layers.